Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video I want to share with you a brilliant game played by Filipino chess Grandmaster Rogelio Antonio Jr. His opponent is Vietnamese chess Grandmaster Thien Dato, and the game was played in 2005 in Kuala, Lumpur. But before starting our game, first want to sharpen your tactical skills. Please take a look at this position and try to find the mating line for white. This is a very simple puzzle, and I'm sure that in a blink of a second you managed to find the solution. It's white to move, and I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Back to our main board, and now without further ado, let's go for our game and see what happened on the board. Antonio opened up with e4 and Dato responded with Sicilian defense c5, knight f3 d6, bishop b5 check. White goes for Moscow variation, a line which requires little theoretical knowledge. White castles kingside, knight f6, queen e2, e6 b3, bishop e7, bishop b2, black castles kingside, and d4. Another popular alternative is going for c4, but in our game we have d4, which is also a pretty strong move. C takes d4, knight takes d4, a6 c4, queen c7, knight c3, nothing special. Both players are developing their pieces. Rook e8, black is freeing the f8 square for the knight, or in some cases can even place the bishop on f8, and king h1. I have to tell you that this position was also seen in 1979 in a game played by Mikhail Tal against Anthony Miles, where in here Tal played f4. But in our game we first see a prophylactic king h1 move. That game Tal managed to win in the rook endgame, by the way, and only after black's knight f8 move white went for f4. But I have to tell you that this knight f8 is a bit strange move. Black could easily equalize the game by going for d5 thrust. This is a very important move in Sicilian defense, which is freeing black's position. If e takes d5, then e takes d5, and after knight takes d5 and the exchange of knights on d5, black has this bishop a3 move with a discovered attack. If you move away your queen, then after the exchange of bishops, queen e5, black will win this isolated pawn on d5, and the position looks drawish. Let's go back, but in our game after king h1 we have knight f8 and we have f4, knight d7. Black is horsing around, is looking for better squares for his knights, while white is centralizing his pieces and is getting ready for the final blow. Rook d8, queen h5, and g6. This is a move which is weakening the long diagonal. In here it was better to play bishop f6. In some cases this dark squared bishop can act as a nice counterbalance to white bishop, but in our game we have g6, queen h6, bishop f6, and rook f3. Well, according to the engine, going for f5 is a more ambitious try, but in our game we have rook f3. Though the problem with this rook f3 is that after rook h3, how are you going to checkmate your opponent's king when black has a knight on f8? As said, when there is a knight on f8, there is no checkmate, right? So far so good. With tiny inaccuracies, black was doing okay, but in here Thien Dato made a terrible mistake and played bishop g7, which steps into a brilliant combination. Well, there was no need to move back the bishop. Even a move like rook c8 could be a nice alternative, but in our game after rook f3 we have bishop g7, and as we have reached the critical position, please pause the video and try to find white's next moves. Ready? Well, look, actually this upcoming combination reminds me of a game played by Yevgeny Sveshnikov against Ruslan Sherbakov. That game was played in 1991 in Moscow, and by the way, I have even covered that game in my channel. Here is a position from that game, where in here with his last move black attacked white queen, but in here instead of moving away his queen, Sveshnikov placed it on g7 square, and black resigned in view of an imminent checkmate. Now if king takes g7, then knight f5 check is coming, followed by knight h6 checkmate. But in our game we have a slightly different scenario. There are two knights on the long diagonal blocking the dark squared bishop's diagonal, but it turns out that even in this case, using the vulnerability of black queen, queen takes g7 is playable, and we have it, guys. Queen takes g7, and black is losing. All black could do was to capture on g7, and after knight d5 black resigned. With this knight d5 move, white both attacked black queen and created a mating threat. For example, if you accept the knight sacrifice, the knight f5 check is coming, followed by knight h6 checkmate, a similar checkmate we already saw in Sveshnikov's game. And actually after knight d5, if you won't accept the knight sacrifice and play a move like e5 in order to block the long diagonal and act against knight f5 double check, then after knight takes c7, e takes d4, knight takes e8 check, rook takes e8, rook takes d4, white's position is totally winning. White is a pawn and an exchange up. Very soon white will also win this pawn, and this is an easy win. That's why after this powerful knight d5 move we have a resignation. A brilliant final combination by GM Joy. For those who do not know, he is affectionately known as GM Joy, and if you like this game, share also with your friends, let them know about this beauty. All hail to GM Joy, right? Well, thanks for watching. In the end, you can also check out the suggestions, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.